Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of the Rush Hour podcast, with a special Sunday update in the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni never-ending saga. If you are a church-going person, I hope you enjoyed Mass or whatever version of Christianity or otherwise religion you partake in. I'm going to give you some charity work today, and that's an extra free video regarding this mess. So, as my duty goes, giving away plenty of great content, you can call me Brother Teresa. So let's get into it here. No blasphemy needed. We are ready to share. And by the way, talk about biblical. I mean, the whole mess right now is biblical. We have a David and Goliath cover here from the Hollywood Reporter that Blake slams. She slams the Hollywood Reporter. She slams the Daily Mail. She's slamming TikTokers. All of us right now are getting slammed. You get a slam. Look under your chair. That's a slam. Blake Lively criticizes the Hollywood Reporter's controversial cover, claiming that it plays into every sexist trope about women who dare file a workplace complaint, turning them into the aggressor and suggesting they deserve the retaliation that comes their way. The cover itself depicts Lively attacking Baldoni while he runs away with a copy of It Ends With Us and promises an exclusive look behind the battle lines of Hollywood's uncivil war. So I tell you what, I'd be shaking in my boots right now if I was the author of this article, Peter Kiefer. I mean, just because you wonder, like, is Ryan Reynolds going to be coming after me right now? Either way, it's a really fantastic artwork here. So we've got Brian Friedman in the background on one end. There he is on the battleground. We've got Justin Baldoni with It Ends With Us right there. And he's got what appears to be a slingshot, and I don't know if that's a giant stone or what. And then the Hollywood sign behind them. And then Blake's looking very goddess-like with, I don't know if she's supposed to be David or Goliath. I'm really not sure in this battle. And then we have Deadpool on the left, or I should say Nice Pool, the man bun version of Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds' character. So a lot of artwork. I mean, can we put this art piece in Le Louvre? Whenever anyone's like, please explain to me what 2025 was like, sure, we could show them the political mess, the world's ending, or we could just describe, you should have seen what happened with Blake Lively, you know? So some are saying this is just the destruction of one's image, but in the off chance that Blake's telling the truth, it would be horrific for her to be going through this. So several different articles all sort of have the same tone. They all say the same thing, which is Blake Lively hits back at the Hollywood Reporter. So we have Blake Lively hitting back at plenty of people right now, just trying to kind of, I guess, I mean, she's late to the PR party as far as sticking up for herself, but by all means, do what you got to do. Blake Lively was reportedly offended by a cover image the Hollywood Reporter recently published that depicted her launching a slingshot at Justin Baldoni. And I'm going to share some pieces of that article, and I think it's pretty tame. In fact, the article attempts to do that inevitable thing where you try to see both sides of the story. So they say the Hollywood Reporter should be ashamed. The framing in this picture is outrageously insulting as it plays into all these sexist tropes. We already covered that. What else did they say? For instance, the Hollywood Reporter pointed out how a claim the Age of Adeline star made in her California Civil Rights Department complaint and subsequent lawsuit that the director once said he could speak to her dead father tracks with past lectures he had given about his faith. He has also referenced his interest in the afterlife in interviews, the outlet's story said. So what they're saying is, look, part of her complaint was saying, oh, he was trying to talk to my dead dad, which, by the way, weird? Yes. Is that even shocking to me in Hollywood? No, I mean, people are soaking their crystals during full moons. You astrologists are nuts out there. That's just me, coming from a strong Taurus. But everyone out there is a little kooky in Hollywood. You got the, the agave folks and the sort of like, weird cults and the Christian rock bands that are trying to make it. Everyone's working together. Spider-Man's out there. You got some Russian guy that doesn't have a visa trying to make money on Hollywood Boulevard. It's a little bit of everybody. You got chicks with their, their fake eyelashes falling off on Runyon Canyon. You're at a taco stand trying to pitch your story as a cop's pulling you over for speeding. I'm telling you, once I got pulled over by a cop and I was like, listen, you got a great voice for voiceover work. And they're like, yeah, I know. We're trying to get into the... Everyone's trying to just do their thing. And so Justin Baldoni can, he can speak to dead people. So sue him. He sees Bruce Willis going around in Sixth Sense. Spoiler, Justin Baldoni is Haley Joel Osment. That's who he is. I see dead people. I see your dad. Do you see? Okay. So he referenced his interest in the afterlife. The article posed the question. The article posed the question of whether Lively and Baldoni's legal battle has less to do with gender equality than it does a simple cultural misunderstanding. What if much of it, the alleged inappropriate hugging and pre-filming prayer, could be explained as a clash between a very specific faith-driven community with its unique mores and a much more modern post-#MeToo one with its own set of beliefs and commandments? So I guess they're arguing, is she staunchly leaning on feminism, and is that conflicting with his spirituality? Now, spoiler alert, it shouldn't. They should want the same thing. Most spiritual people, like real spiritual, just want everyone to love and get along, man. I'm not talking about like the toxic versions of religion, which they all exist. That's high control, like trad wife type of BS. I'm talking, and by the way, what's interesting is because she actually has more of that culture in herself. So like she's leaning on feminism, but also, and I hate to say it, play these cards, but didn't she have an event or get married at a plantation? A lot of her branding that she's trying to do is very antebellum-y, so it's like, and again, I'm not even trying to bring that stuff into it, but if she's going to lean on one side and say, oh, his religion's kind of kooky, his spirituality's kind of kooky, or he's crossing the line or giving me the ick or whatever you want to call it, it's like, all right, well, let's leave a little space for the weird shit you got going on, right? Lively's rep added to the Daily Mail, the story is extremely offensive as it incredibly seems to explain all away documented examples of sexual harassment and retaliation by calling them cultural misunderstandings. Lively has maintained that she is being truthful about her sexual harassment allegations against Baldoni. So she doesn't leave too much of a statement, but of course everyone's picking this up. And here's the initial article. Justin Baldoni's leap of faith. We covered this from the stance of the Baha'i. I had several sources talk to me about really what Baha'i is all about. I've spoken on the phone with one. Hello, good to see you. And it's nice. I mean, people have just said, hey, the religion is all about saying, hey, we're not hating on any other religions. We're just trying to bring everything to the table. Every religion is a chapter in a greater story that humans are all connected. I like to think of it as universe, one verse, universe, one song, one voice. All of us together, while separated by these skin suits, can change the world for the better. We can live in harmony when we're not divided by war. Right now, the war we're divided by is actually the culture war, right? We're divided by a war that's hard to see because it's not you invade my land, it's your ideologies invading mine. And in a world we live in, which is kind of like a caged rat theory where a lot of the middle class is shrinking, people want to blame others for their problems. The immigrants are stealing my jobs. These people are doing that. This is doing that. We think it's a left versus right, but the culture war is really a class war. It's up versus down. And I don't mean to make this political, but the more people I can reach and say, hey, the person on the left isn't your enemy and the person on your right isn't your enemy. It's the billionaires that are destroying the middle class and using a straw to siphon all the wealth up into their direction. That's why, rather than let the governors who rule all of the states get a seat at the inauguration, it was the billionaire class, because they're trying to rewrite the story so that they can have all of the control. And the way to fix that is to fight for the middle class and fight for each other. And again, it's a rant, but I think it's a damn good one, just to say, let's reevaluate who the enemy is. Justin and Blake are in this fight mainly because Blake sees Justin as lesser than her. She feels dismissed. These are my opinions. She feels dismissed by just being an actor when she wants more creative control, and she wants to really live up to, speaking of billionaires, her husband and Tay-Tay, Taylor Swift, and she wants to sort of have that sort of respect that she doesn't feel like she has in her social circle. And sadly, this ain't her, project to steal. Justin Baldoni's faith was, as far as we could tell, at worst kooky, but if he did cross the line, she's got every point. The only problem is people aren't really buying the evidence. So throughout the entire production of It Ends With Us, a persistent and peculiar rumor circulated the set. According to the rumor, Justin Baldoni and It Ends With Us author Colleen Hoover shared a spiritual bond. Both were supposedly members of a small, obscure Iranian religion community known as Baha'i. It was this shared faith, or so the rumor went, that helped the 41-year-old director initially secure the rights to It Ends With Us. None of that was true. Hoover grew up in a small town in Texas filled with Southern Baptists, and a source close to the novelist insists she has never been a part of the Baha'i community. Nor was there anything spiritual about the way in which the rights to Hoover's book were secured. It was Hoover's former editor turned literary agent named Johanna Castillo who brokered the rights agreement of It Ends With Us with Baldoni. According to a source close to Hoover, when the 45-year-old best-selling author became aware of the rumor shortly after the production wrapped, she was upset, but ultimately decided it was easiest to just let it go. And by the way, what's the big deal? It's not like, no offense to Scientologists out there, but that's more of a high-control religion seen as a cult because it's really kooky. There aren't many... there's some, there are, like any self-help or motivational book, there's a couple things that Scientology tells you early on that's like fine. It's like, yeah, all right, you can, whatever. They're in it, but it just gets kookier and kookier the more you unwrap, right? We're a bunch of thetans that all burnt, a bunch of humans all burned up in a volcano and became spirits. And then the religion's written by, it's kooky. It's kooky out there. Now, is Baha'i kooky? Well, at the least, and I think religion is good whether it's real or not, because having faith in something can help you live up to an ideal. On the opposite end, using religion to say, well, that's what the Bible says, can keep us from critically thinking when the Bible either A, gets it wrong or has been interpreted to get something wrong. An instance like stone the gays or something. It's like, the Bible never said that. Bible never said that. But people will think like, oh, we hate the Jews, or the, this is our homeland, or you shouldn't be banging people before you're married. And it's like, okay. That wasn't the fish Jesus was trying to fry, okay? He was trying to get, you get the whole point. And we don't need to have a Bible lecture here. Or maybe you don't get the point. But the point I'm trying to make is when you can use religion for good, it's great. And as far as I've seen with the Baha'i religion, in Justin Baldoni's messages he's trying to share, they're elevating a story of DV. They're elevating a story, and he's using himself as the sample, which can be very dangerous, right? And look, don't take my word for it. I love to share content from female content creators because I kind of feel sometimes it's like, well, who cares what this dude thinks? Let's hear from other people. And here we have in the comment section, the weaponized feminism is getting really tired. We've worked so hard to achieve some credibility when being harassed, and Blake is setting us back 30 years with this charade. Now, I'll argue that as a man, I don't see instances of Blake Lively or, people want to talk about Amber Heard. I don't see those instances as setting back stories, because I still see with critical thinking that you can sift through what's got a little bit of merit versus where the evidence is lacking. But I do understand the sentiment. Let's go to Steph with Deets.
Say, Blake,
hold on right here. Let's go to Steph with Deets and hear what she has to say.
Say, Blake, it's okay for your husband Ryan Reynolds to make jokes about your SH lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, but The Hollywood Reporter can't make their own jokes? Blake Lively is letting us know that this cover really pissed her off. And just knowing that makes me love this cover, actually.
All right, so here we have Steph with the Deets giving us that David versus Goliath symbology.
Rock, and he defeats Goliath. So the book, The Truth, The Rock, is what defeats Blake. This is my interpretation, guys. And if you compare the cover to any photo of David and Goliath, Blake is definitely giving Goliath energy while Justin is giving David. And Goliath had shields and swords, and there's several by Blake and Ryan. And her using the phone as her rock and her slingshot compared to Justin's book, because obviously Blake never read the book. And when you look at the full image that they posted, you see Ryan Reynolds as a nice pool in Blake's corner, Justin Baldoni's attorney Brian Friedman in his corner. But if you guys do notice, Justin Baldoni has two different shoes on, which is, I don't know if that's supposed to mean something. It's a little odd. But the article they wrote is actually more so about Justin Baldoni's religion.
All right, so then they get into the religious aspect we talked about. I guess maybe this is just bad AI. I don't know if it's you're looking at the shoes. But yeah, there's some symbology. I don't know if we need to, I don't know if any of it actually lines up, or it's just like, hey, we just tried to write an article. Because a lot of times whoever wrote the article isn't the person who writes the headline, right? The editor does that, and then they've got someone who does the graphics. So for all intents and purposes, it could be that the person who wrote the article has no, they don't have any sort of jurisdiction over what might be an inflammatory cover, right? So can't blame that guy. Blame the cartoonist or whoever. No, don't blame anybody. But yeah, this is artistic interpretation of what's going on. And Blake does open the door when she lets Ryan Reynolds make a joke about it for other people as well. But I still think, there should be some respect out there. And I don't think this really is disrespectful, but I do think have some respect in the off chance that she is telling the truth and just let's wait for this to play out. That's my thoughts. I'm not scolding anybody. That's just where I think we should be. All right. Anyhow, he's using himself as the example to say, hey, there were times where I didn't live up to the ideals that a man should. And while it would be interesting if we could just flip a switch and have everyone's egos turned off and their testosterone turned off and their toxicity turned off, that would be nice. Most people, all people really have to go through that hero's journey themselves. They have to go through that journey where maybe they realize that sex with a bunch of random people isn't fulfilling to them, or maybe it is, whatever. They might go through a journey where they realize their ego led them to act toxic, and can somebody recover from being verbally or physically abusive? Those journeys are for people to go on. Whatever Justin's journey is, he feels like now he's in the place where he can speak to men and say, look, and this is what he said, men are going to come to these movies, right? They're going to come with their wife. Their wife is going to get a story of heroism as a woman overcomes a very, very deep challenge. And maybe the men will get a story that they can understand that's not beating them down, but says, all right, here's some room for grace. Here's some room for growth. And just to bring it back politically, in the day we live in here, as we wrap up February of 2025, getting there, I say this, don't dunk on your neighbors if they didn't vote for the person you wanted them to vote for. Dunk on the political leaders for their hypocrisy. Let's dunk on those that are the ones in power and leave grace and room for those that are just trying to figure it out. And you could apply that politically, or you could apply it to your family, but have room at the finish line if you've already completed the race for people still going through their journey. Now you might say, Dave, are you making excuses for toxic behavior? No, I'm not making excuses at all. I'm just saying if Justin Baldoni was weird, neurodivergent, and I'm not saying people that are neurodivergent are weird, I'm using separate examples, but if he is saying these different, if he's on set being a little weird because he wants people to pray, or whispering to people because that's the tone he wants to speak in, because when he goes loud, people claim he's screaming. He's just trying his best to disarm the version of him that he thinks might be seen as overly hostile. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If Justin Baldoni's on set yelling, action, halt, then, oh, this man's yelling at me. But if he's on set whispering, then he's being creepy. And it's well, what tone is perfect for you? And clearly it ends with a disagreement. And that's where we are right now. So there's Blake's response. We are going to have a ton of content this weekend. I just wanted to see, I cannot believe, and I want to thank you guys because I always want to end with some gratitude. I cannot believe the amount of subscribers we've received. I was going to say, can we get up to 120,000 today? I don't even know if it's possible, but let's take a look at this. Unbelievable stuff. I'm going to click on the live count. So as of recording right now, 119,515. Can we get up to 120,000 by the end of the day? That would be fantastic. We've got a special interview coming up with lawyers that have been following this case this week. Lots of other great content. So gear down. I may have another video for you this afternoon. I may save it for tomorrow, but it's going to be, oh, there it is. Another sub right there. It's going to be a very busy week. So from Brother Teresa and all of those out there, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Spend some time with your family and leave a little grace for those that aren't quite at the finish line yet. All right. We'll talk to you then. Bye.